Now stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. Uh-oh. Oh my goodness. My goodness, what in the world? That's not right. Okay. And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2. Welcome to the Sabby and Jaybe show. I am James Fauntleroy, one of your hosts. Here I have the hostess with the mostest, my sister Sabby Sabs. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Jaybe. What's going on?
So I think I'm doing okay with calorie counting. I'm discovering some stuff that's pretty solid that keeps me going. I just realized, like, okay, so the 20-gram protein yogurt, and then you mix some fresh blueberries and some fresh strawberries in it. I'm telling you that
it's actually filling. Yeah, I do the same thing. You basically kind of create your own yogurt parfait. Yeah, which they sell for a lot of money at the grocery store, but you can just make it yourself. It's true. Like you take the little 20-gram protein yogurt and you just throw some berries in, mix that in it, and it is pretty filling. Especially like strawberries. Strawberries are one of the foods that is low calorie, but it's filling.
You should watch that video that I sent you where Bane goes, strawberries are packed with fiber. That, look, if you watch that, you and your hubby will just be on the floor. It is so funny. It's basically as if Bane from Batman was a nutritionist and trainer. It's hilarious. You'll love it. But while we're at it, everybody, please go ahead and give a like to the stream. Just to let you guys know, the Sabby and Jaybe show is every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and subscribe as well as share if you have not already. Like Sabby says, just like a Care Bear. Also, if you have not, you guys can join our mailing list at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. This gives you email notifications whenever we go live or upload any clips, like we did earlier. So you guys got that email notification about half an hour ago. If you guys also would like to, you guys can also send us an email if you have any stories you would like to submit that you find interesting, or if you guys like to send us any encouraging words at revolutionaryblackout@outlook.com. You guys have that there. We're going to go through and say hellos very quickly because I really want to get into this story, because let me tell you something, baby. This lady is delusional. I cannot look. I can't. I tried, and I found out that I can't. No, I looked into it, and you know what I found out? That I can't. I've researched it, and you know what I found out? That I can't.
Oh my God.
If you know what I was quoting, so. Oh my goodness. So let's say hello to a few people. Oh, Austin coming in. Hello, nice to meet you. He says Dems are letting Biden pick his choice, and he chose Vice President Kamala Harris to take his title president. A Kamala Harris choice Walz as the next person to take over her place as president. He says, hopefully we can turn the Democratic Party into the People's Democratic Party. Good luck with that. You got optimism. Let's see here. Oh, you went through a lot. You said a lot earlier. All right, Miriam coming in saying, actually, everyone that votes for any other duopoly is serving no justice, but allowing the same old to continue. Why? because what they don't know is that the Dems and reps are ruling under Congress. Okay.
Good point. Yeah.
Yep.
Good point.
All right. Just Trash. I don't know. Why'd you give yourself that name, especially with such a cute little avatar? No, you just Treasure. Change that name from Trash to Treasure. All right. Says, oop, I only saw the first two options of the poll. Oh, yeah. By the way, not poll. The way you wrote poll. Take the poll, guys, because I actually have a couple questions that I would like to ask you guys, by the way, especially in regards to Kamala Harris. We have DJ Leader coming in saying, are we getting the Power Hour panel? Fantastic for RBN fam. Not this time. Rome is doing some things with their library, so he's going to be a little bit busy. But for the next roundtable, we'll be able to do that. So thank you very much. We have Gup1 says, yes, BDS, these unamazing.com/free Palestine. Thank you very much for sharing that, Gup. Kime says, hey, we got Jaybe in the place to be along with Sabby, and they got what it takes to rock the mic. All right. And then, Roger says, JB, you got to get a new picture, bro. Have you like Anthony Anderson, your face slimmed down? Thank you very much, Roger. Steve says, hello, everybody. Leroy coming in saying, good day, comrades. Kat coming in saying, we need to demand big money, get out of politics. Follow those 11 demands. You'll see that too in there. We have Zoe coming in saying, can't reform fascism. Absolutely, Zoe. I almost call you Joey. I'm sorry. We have Jace coming in saying, hey, Jaybe and Sabby, Dems are left wing of fascism. Okay, that... Let's get into this because I really want to get into the story. And I want to start off with, your thoughts about this, Sabs, but let's get into the thumbnail and we'll get into the story. Look, she's getting the boot. The donkey said, get the heck out of him. And she's leaving like, all right, bye. All right. Kicking Kamala to the curb. I don't want some people coming after me for saying her name the wrong way, even though, she's still a genocide heir. But anyways, Sabs, this is a story that you are keenly interested in. And I was watching on Tuesday when you were talking about Kamala Harris's interview with Rachel Maddow, which I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of issues there as well. So what is this about the Democrats now having issue with Kamala Harris, especially since she just came out with her new book, 107 Days?
Right. So, as you guys probably know, Kamala Harris is on a book tour. She's traveling across the country to talk about her book. Yeah. So the book, people have known about the book for, I would say, a couple weeks now. Like it's been a minute. So it's not like it was just announced that she had this book. There have also been excerpts from the book that have been published. Mm-hmm. So the Democratic Party is known about this for a while and some of the things that were said in the book. But it wasn't until the interview with Rachel Maddow that we are seeing the pushback from the Democratic Party. And I'll show you guys here. Politico reported this. So everybody needs to see what is happening here, fam. This is a big one. It's embarrassing. Democrats seethe at Kamala Harris campaign book. So this article was published yesterday.
Okay.
On Wednesday. Again, right after that Rachel Maddow interview. Right after that. So it goes on to say, let me make it a little bit bigger so that people can read along here. Okie dokie. Kamala Harris media blitz is doing little to temper the frustration bubbling under Democrats over her retelling of the 2024 election. Over the last 24 hours, The vice president insisted she isn't burning bridges in her own party, rejected the idea that her infamous interview on The View tipped the 2024 election, and didn't rule out another run for political office. Now goes on to say here, in an era where Democrats need all hands on deck in the fight to protect the country and the Constitution from the lawlessness of Trump's administration, she had a real opportunity to be a critical voice in the resistance. That's coming from Michael Hardaway, who's a Democrat strategist. He also served as senior advisor for Hakeem Jeffries. This book seems to be unhelpful and divisive in a way that makes it hard for her to be the face of the party as we look to the future. So I'll go ahead and pause there, and then we can talk for just a second, and I'll come back to it. JB, notice they're using that word divisive again, right? So it's like, if you give criticism, which some of the criticism is very mild, but it's very clear that if you give even any type of criticism, that's considered divisive because you're not going along with what the party wants. It's like you're not allowed to give critique. You're not allowed to. You guys know there's a such thing called constructive criticism, and you're not even allowed to do that. Otherwise, the party is going to think that you're being divisive.
But if you can't give constructive criticism, how do you expect to get better?
Right. But that brings up this question. Do they actually want to get better?
No, they don't. You and me, we're politics geeks, so we know the answer to this question. But many people who are probably just tuning in probably are just finding out that both parties are trash. And when it comes to actually criticizing, and this goes for the Republicans as well, but the Democrats are especially known for not wanting to take any criticism, and they want to go into a specific direction. They only take their cues from the people who are seniors in the Democratic leadership, right? The Chuck Schumers, the Hakeem Jeffries, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Barack Obamas, the Hillary Clintons. They're the ones that can critique the party. And even then, the party still snaps at them a little bit too, because it's like, we're perfect. We can do no wrong. We're on the right side of history, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, if you're on the right side of history, why aren't you back in that White House?
Right. But let me go on, because it's not just that one person, you guys. Like, you're going to see other Democrat strategists speak out as well. More than 6 months after losing the election, and with Harris now back in the spotlight, her book 107 Days has reopened wounds in a party still divided over who or what is primarily to blame for their sweeping loss to Donald Trump. Harris, for her part, argued on ABC's The View on Tuesday that though there were many factors, ultimately we just didn't have enough time. It's not the first time a political memoir has prompted eye rolls. Hillary Clinton's book tour in 2017 triggered a collective groan among infuriated Democrats as well. So we all remember Hillary's book. Remember how that went. This part right here. At a time when people are looking for a vision and leadership and want to see leaders rise to the level of threat facing the country, it's pretty crazy she chose to write a gossip book that prioritizes the pettiness of her politics. This is coming from an advisor to a potential 2028 candidate. So they are anonymous. It's embarrassing for her and for all Democrats, considering she was the leader of the party less than a year ago. During her interviews this week, Harris clarified some of her more candid assessments from her book. Of course, we all know what she said about Pete Buttigieg. He was her first choice, but she didn't want to pick him because she didn't think the country would be ready for, obviously, like a Black woman and a man that's LGBTQ. She went on to tell Rachel Maddow it wasn't about prejudice. She didn't think America would be ready for that. Buttigieg told Politico last week that he found Harris's comments surprising and believes in giving Americans more credit. Harris told co-hosts on The View Tuesday she has a good relationship with the former president, who she praised as highly capable president who accomplished great things. She described her own refusal to criticize Biden as well. And it goes on to say, I am a loyal person, and I didn't fully appreciate how people wanted to know there was a difference between me and President Biden. So this is the ego, right? This is that ego coming out where she just can't handle it. She doesn't want to take any accountability. I thought it was obvious, and I didn't want to offer a difference in any way that would be received or suggested to be a criticism. But you wrote this book, and now you are giving criticism
after the fact. And the thing is, the criticism probably would have helped her in the polls before the election.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. Like, breaking away, because remember, something that Donald Trump did that actually worked pretty well, even though people made fun of him for it, when he was running for president in 2016, don't forget, he criticized everybody. Every candidate that was on that stage, what did he call Marco Rubio? Little Marco or whatever. He went after everybody on that stage, and guess who won? So the thing is that people were looking for something different. Remember, Joe Biden was doing really bad in the polls. So yeah, people did want to know if you were going to be different. And we need to ask at this point, who is Kamala Harris? Because things that she's saying now contradicts what she said when she was running for president. One of the things that's mentioned in this book is that she found out July 2024 that Benjamin Netanyahu did not want to end the war. This is in her book. Well, she was made the nominee in July of 2024, which means the entire time that she was campaigning, she knew ahead of time that Benjamin Netanyahu didn't want to end the war, and she never mentioned that, not once. She never. So this goes back to transparency, which is something that we've been discussing like recently on my show. Part of the reason why a lot of people are questioning, how Charlie Kirk was killed is because there's been a lack of transparency from the FBI. That's part of it. And there's the things that happen behind the scenes that we're finding out about, right? Kamala Harris, if what she says in this book is true, she wasn't transparent. Nobody wants to hear you to come forward now and then say, well, this is how I really felt, but I didn't feel I could say it. Like, no. Like, so this is the thing. She's not willing to take any accountability. She wants to blame the protesters. She wants to blame the voters. She wants to blame Joe Biden. And don't get me wrong, Joe Biden's an asshole. But regardless of what Joe Biden told you, at the end of the day, you had a decision to make. I hate when people come forward, and I feel like this is what she's trying to say. She's trying to basically say she didn't have a choice, but she did have a choice. It doesn't matter if Joe Biden told you no daylight, kid. At the end of the day, you had a choice. You chose to listen to Joe Biden. You didn't have to. So this is how Kamala got there. If she would have come forward and said, listen, I know that, Biden is trying to work out some deal, but FYI, it's become very clear to me, Benjamin Netanyahu does not want to let this go. He's not interested in doing this. And that also tells you, if she knew back in July 2024 that he didn't want to end the war, then she also knew that he didn't care about getting the hostages back. This is so obvious. So the thing is like, she's getting grilled. I'm going to show people the video of what happening now on the book tour. So this was the recent appearance that she had for her book tour. And I think she's in Philly today, right? So watch this. And this is why she's getting called out.
Your legacy is genocide. The blood of the Palestinians is on your hands. You pledged your full support for Israel while they shot babies, while they blew babies up, while they burned Palestinians alive. Your legacy is genocide. You care more about protecting an apartheid state than defending the rights of Americans. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Please don't be nice to me.
So one of the things she mentioned in the book is she didn't understand why people weren't protesting against Donald Trump. Donald Trump wasn't president at that time. The actions at that time were happening under the Biden administration. That's why. And again, I feel like she can't be this dumb. Where is she? Because like seriously, like she could not be her just not wanting to take accountability. So she's on this tour, and in the most, I guess, timid way, she's trying to say, well, here's some of the criticisms that I have. And like I said, a lot of the criticisms for the most part have been very mild from what I've seen. And even with the mild criticism, the Democratic Party is telling her they don't appreciate what you did. They don't appreciate you writing this gossip book and talking about what happened behind the scenes. So you sticking your neck out to defend a party that is throwing you under the bus because she still wants to be in the club.
Mm-hmm. And her criticism is mild about herself as well. Yes. And the accountability just isn't there. I want to go in the same vein that you are, and I want to share this as well. This is actually her interview recently with Joy-Ann Reid, and she's talking about Gaza here. So I want to get into this. So let me make sure I get right to the beginning. Okay.
That was the same sort of issue, is that, you know, you talk a lot about these protests that would happen when you were in these rallies that were otherwise incredibly joyful. You would get these protesters who were pro-Palestinian protesters. You talked about reacting to them.
But if you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
You had one line about the convention decision not to put a Palestinian American journalist on stage. When you look at that, was this an instance in which you were not unpacking people's sort of real rage and real feelings about that? And now that you've had the United Nations, organization confirm that it is a genocide, that Israel is committing genocide, do you go back and relook at your reaction to those protests and to not putting that person on stage?
So first of all, what's happening in Gaza right now breaks my heart. And it has been breaking my heart. As you know, a year and a half ago when I was vice president, I was the first one, the highest member of our administration to use the word starvation.
And the White House was not happy with you.
They were not happy with me.
Oh, wow. Starvation. I used the word starvation. Wow. So brave. So prolific. Oh, my goodness. Salute to you, Madam Vice President.
Oh, my God.
That's one thing.
This is so bad. This is so bad. This is so bad, man. This is bad. She would have been.
It gets worse.
Okay.
It gets so much worse. Go ahead, though.
Oh, me? Oh, I was gonna say that she would have been better off not writing a book and just kind of fading into the background. I'm just being honest with you, because she's gonna get so much more. She's already getting a lot more, discussed because of this book. But go ahead.
All right. She's delusional.
I've been concerned throughout what's happening around the treatment of Palestinian civilians, children, what has been happening in terms of the disproportionate and brutal response. And, one of the things in terms of my reflections, I think we should have, the United States of America, we have, as the United States of America, great strength and power. And we had tools and levers that I think we did not exercise. And, what's happening there right now is tragic. It's tragic.
You write in the book that President Biden had a difficulty showing empathy toward Palestinians. And so, for you, there are people who say, well, it wouldn't have been any different. that Bibi Netanyahu would still be invited to the United States either way. What would have been different? Would a Bibi Netanyahu be welcome in the United States if you were president?
Okay, let's be really clear, honestly. Okay, no, and level set.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has given carte blanche to the Israeli government to do exactly what it is doing right now. And that is a reality. The reality is that Donald Trump is allowing Bibi Netanyahu to do exactly what he is doing without any consequence or level of accountability.
Sabs, please respond.
So did Joe Biden.
Thank you.
And she didn't answer the question.
No, she didn't
answer the question. Does Joy push back?
Let's continue. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Period.
Let's talk about you go on in the book, as you said, it's 107 days of election, and then you talk about this process of having to do the peaceful transfer of power and why you felt you were committed.
So no.
So see,
she doesn't push back,
and that's why Kamala did the damn interview, right?
Exactly.
Like Joy, she lost her job at MSNBC, but Joy still want to be in the club too. That's why she didn't push back. Now let me make something very clear. When Joy was fired from MSNBC, one of the things that she said is that she thought those conversations she had about Gaza and stuff like that was important and valuable. Now you got your own show on YouTube. So you have all this freedom and you don't push back. So that tells me it wasn't just about MSNBC. It wasn't just them. It was also you.
So what my sister Sabby's saying to you, Miss Joyanne Reed, is that the call's also coming from inside the house.
Yeah, and I see this woman, I see Joy Reid going on to all these so-called independent podcasts all of a sudden, trying to pretend like she's down with the bros and all that kind of stuff. And my thing is, and they're just being so nice to her and all this kind of stuff. She didn't give a damn about any of these going on to any of these independent podcasts when she was on MSNBC. And if she was still on MSNBC, she wouldn't have been on your damn show. Like, that's the thing that just drives me crazy. So it's like, this is why I say be very cautious of the people who left corporate media that have now started their own independent YouTube show or whatever, because you can leave the corporate media, but that doesn't mean the corporate media leaves you. Joy didn't even push back. She didn't even answer the damn question.
You could take
she didn't answer the question. This was one of the problems with Kamala Harris. Anytime someone put a heated question her way about what she would do, instead of answering that question, she would defer to about Donald Trump.
Yep.
And people really thought that she could lead the country? Are you guys serious?
She can't take responsibility for nothing. For nothing. And this was the same woman that said on The View, when she was asked, would you do anything differently from Joe Biden? And she was like, oh no, I wouldn't do anything differently.
Yeah, she's very out of touch. You know, when I talked to Amanda Seales talked about her encounter with Kamala Harris. And it's just like, she said Kamala's like, kind of stuffy, just kind of like wrapped too tight like that. It's like, this is not a person who understands like the needs of everyday people. She's very much detached from our world. I think people really need to understand this. She's not connected to our world. No. Yeah, she's not vice president anymore, but she's also in circles where she would never have to interact with people like us.
No.
That's the problem.
It goes way back too. Remember when we first saw Kamala Harris ever? Montel Williams she was on Montel Williams' arm, and they were like, who's that with you, your date? He goes, oh, this is Kamala Harris.
And he said she's a rising something.
She was in a really nice dress. She was walking a red carpet before ever becoming a United States senator for any of that. So she's always been apart as well, set apart. So therefore, no, there's no connection with the working class. There's no connection with regular people. And so also some of the people who are within, they're in the DC bubble, but a lot of those staffers, they're also working class too. So guess what? You think that she's actually going to have any solidarity with them? No,
they don't make much either, from what I understand. One of my classmates had like a staffer job. This was years ago, under the Bush administration, and she didn't last long. But anyway, she had a staffer. It was like her first job, like out of college, and she, basically was like, "Yay, I'm gonna take this job." And then she wanted to go into politics and all this kind of stuff. Like I said, did not last long. The pay wasn't good. I don't know what she does now, but that was one of my classmates. And I just think that JB, there's no humility. There's no humility. And as you see now, the Democratic Party, they're speaking out against her. They're mad at her. And this is the ego. This is where that comes in, right? I feel like she doesn't know how to put her ego aside. Like the thing that she said about Pete Buttigieg. She said he was her first choice. Okay, let's just stop right there for a second. He was her first choice. How do you think that makes Tim Walz feel? Did she think about that? Like, was she?
Okay, I'm gonna quote a very famous person. It's very famous person. I'm gonna quote is the rapper Nelly. He said, 2 is not a winner and 3 nobody remembers. Right?
I am number one.
No matter if you like to sit down and write it. I am number one. Never that she meant. What does it take to be number one? 2 is not a winner and 3 nobody remembers. What does it take to be number one? Sorry.
You taking me back now, JB. You taking me back. I want to listen to this song now.
This is why I think we're blood related, but we just haven't checked yet. But anyways, but yeah. So the thing is, like, right? How does Tim Walz really feel? Because my thing is, like, if I was Tim Walz, I'd be like, man, screw you, Kamala. You're gonna make me second spot.
It's one of those things. It's like, did you have to say that? Did you have to put that out there? I don't know. It's so there's that. Then she went on to say, also during that same conversation with Rachel Maddow, that she didn't think America, like I told you guys, would be ready for a Black woman and a LGBTQ man on the same ticket. And Pete Buttigieg, of course, hits back and basically says she needs to give Americans more credit. Like, it's just, I just, again, like, why the need to say that? Why does that need to be said? Instead of all the other more important things. You can tell, even in that discussion with Joy Reid, you can tell Kamala gets very uneasy about the Gaza question. And by the way, in the Rachel Maddow interview, no discussion of Gaza, not one question.
Yeah. Another thing, especially was, and I watched her recent interview on The View, and one of the questions that was asked was by Joy Behar. And Joy Behar said, "Oh, I think the reason you didn't win is because you're a woman and because you're Black." While that may be a factor, I think that is a minor factor. One thing that people are not bringing up is it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah, she was a part of the current administration. That really, really hurt her. Really hurt her.
And then on top of that, for her to say, now, do I think that Pete Buttigieg has the qualifications to be vice president? No. But at the same time, people wouldn't give a damn if he was gay if the administration was doing was providing materially for the American people and making life better than what it was under Donald Trump. But they weren't. They wouldn't give a damn if Pete Buttigieg was gay. As long as the paychecks are going up and the rent is going down, everything's peachy. And and then on top of that, because Pete Buttigieg did what he did in South Bend, Indiana, as mayor, of course, black people weren't rocking with him. Gay black people weren't rocking with him.
Yeah, not only that, but her best chance, in my opinion, of becoming president was for Biden to resign and hand it over to her. That really was was her best chance of becoming president. But it's interesting that corporate media is pretending as though Kamala Harris never ran for president before. She did in 2020. She didn't do well.
We remember that.
She was never a strong candidate. And they just want to overlook those things. And Joy shouldn't have let her get away with that one right there. Joy didn't push back at all. And that's probably why Kamala agreed to do that interview, because she doesn't want any type of pushback.
No. And knowing somebody like Kamala, they were like, submit your questions first, and then we'll see if we can do the interview.
Well, that was one of the things, right? Like with the whole Joe Rogan thing, that's what came out later on, is that her team wanted the questions submitted prior to the interview. And, I understand it on some level, like some people just at least want to know what they're going to be, the conversation is going to be about. But the fact that you can't ad lib from that, right? Like I got these questions for you, but I want to go a little bit deeper. The fact that you can't do that, it makes you wonder. Oh. Oh, hello. While JB's doing that, I'll go to some of the comments. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, in regards to what Kamala Harris, I'll be honest with you, if she had, I think you're right, if she had been given the presidency through resignation and then got to run the country for at least 6 months,
right,
then maybe, just maybe, people would have saw, and also if she had departed from Biden's policies while president, because here's the thing, the Speaker of the House would have become vice president under her, because that's how the order of succession goes. And so then Kamala Harris could have departed from the policies of Biden. And if I were her, I would have started doing a whole bunch of executive orders. I just would have been doing a whole bunch of executive orders that would have helped out the working class people.
But she wasn't selected. She wasn't selected by the Clintons to actually do anything. She was selected because she goes with the status quo, because she is a part of the establishment. She backs the corporations. That's why she was selected, and because of optics, right? Like we can say, "Oh, look, a woman of color." That's why they selected her before she ran for Senate.
And that's the problem, because you get somebody who just looks good on the outside, but when it comes to their actual policies, they may be trash. Like, for instance, if I asked you to give me a red car, it's like, okay, great, I got you a red car. But when I look under the hood, the engine's shot. You know what I mean? The timing belt's ripped apart. The radiator has no fluid in it. The alternator is burnt out. And then, the transmission is broken. So then it's like, wait a minute, this car is trash. What are you talking about? But I got you a red car.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, not only that, but she kind of cheated, JB. Like, she jumped the line. She didn't have a primary. She was selected. And like I said, it would have been different if he would have resigned and then she became president because he resigned. But there were people that were running. And the fact that there were people that were running and they just said, we're just going to select you and make you the nominee, she cheated. So when people say this is a message we want to send to young girls and Black women out there that you can do anything, the message you were actually sending is that in order for you to even get to the general election, they had to cheat for you to get there.
And yes, you're absolutely right. In addition to that, the cheatation that happened was because Biden also had too much ego that he didn't want to have any contenders against him during the non-existent primary that happened. I know here in Florida, the Democratic Party literally canceled the primary. Even though you had Dean Phillips, Marianne Williamson, and Cenk Uygur all running in a primary against Joe Biden. And then they wouldn't allow them to actually run against Joe Biden. They said, no primary, we're going to stick with Joe Biden. While we all knew that Joe Biden was in cognitive decline. So part of it was also ego on Joe Biden's part. So it's ego on Kamala Harris's part. There's also ego on Joe Biden's part.
Also, I still think Joe Biden is a racist asshole. Like, I still feel like he is, because when she said in her book that Biden wasn't willing to have any type of empathy for the Palestinian people. Well, duh. No. This is the same guy that you said on the debate stage when she was running for president in 2020. This is the same guy that Kamala Harris said that his comments about integration was really disappointing to her, right? Remember, Joe Biden said he didn't want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle. So why are you surprised that he doesn't have any empathy or sympathy for the Palestinian people? I wasn't joking with that. Like, we talked about this for a long time, JB, that Joe Biden was a segregationist, that Joe Biden, also had his issues as well. And it's a little bit different because, like, people can point to Trump and say, oh, it's so obvious because that's overt racism, right? He just says these things out loud. But then you have covert racism where Joe Biden was actually, even back in the day, Joe Biden was working with Byrd. He was working with Strom Thurmond. He was good friends with racist Strom Thurmond. Now, Kamala Harris stood right on that debate stage during the Democrat primary, and she said, and I quote, she said, that little girl was me when he talked about being against the integrated schools. So Kamala knew exactly who Joe Biden was. And that's who she decided to go and work for, to be a part of the administration. And we're talking about first picks. She wasn't his first pick. So does everybody see how this game is working or what? It's just like, to me, these people are used. Kamala Harris is a tool that is used. Barack Obama is a tool that was used to also not just get out the Black vote, but also try to get the youth vote, right? Now, it worked with Obama. This time it didn't.
Well, let me correct you there. When it comes to his first pick, I think it's good that Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris, because if he had chosen his first choice, which I think was Amy Klobuchar, then instead of writing a book, Amy Klobuchar would have threw a stapler at everybody, and we would have yeah, duck, you got to bob and weave, you know what I mean? So I think we're a little bit safer with a book.
Oh,
remember when Shanae said, you gotta bob and weave, bob and use your weave.
So let me show you. I have that video. Hold on. I just want to show everybody this too. When she said that she was reckless. Okay, here we go. Let me just share this really quick. This was her discussion with Rachel Maddow. Kamala Harris says that she was reckless not to challenge Biden.
Madam Vice President, I have to ask you about the point, the part of your book that has people most upset thus far, which is some of your writing about the decision around the president abandoning his reelection campaign, the timing there and how it's handled. You say in part, page 46, it's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision. Whose decision should that have been? How should that decision have been made?
So when I write this, it's because I realize that I have and had a certain responsibility that I should have followed through on. Which is, and so when I talk about the recklessness, as much as anything, I'm talking about myself. There was so much, as we know, at stake. And as I write, you know, the where my head was at the time is that it would come off as being completely self-serving.
If you said to President Biden that you did not think he should run again.
Yeah, or even that he should question whether it's a good idea.
Jaybe, do you believe that? I feel like she's trying to, even in this part, I feel like she's trying to give Biden a grace. I feel like she's trying to give like a little bit of mild here. Let me, you know, I should have basically pushed him out or told him to get out or whatever. I feel like she's still trying to provide cover for Joe Biden.
Because she still wants access to that power.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, she never shut the door on a 2028 run. She just said that that's not my focus right now.
Yeah.
That's code word. That's politicians speak for. Yeah, I'm probably going to run. It's just I don't want you to know yet because I don't want people to start attacking me early.
Yep. And then another thing too that I was going to mention. So obviously Trump's probably, as much as he says, I doubt it. Trump's probably not going to run again, right? He can't, yeah. But he said that he's going to, he can't, legally he can't, he's not going to. So that would put a lot of this on JD Vance, right? She could be thinking that she'll have a better chance against JD Vance than against Donald Trump.
No, she won't. Look, she couldn't beat Donald Trump. Hell, she couldn't even beat Joe Biden in a primary. What makes you think she'll be able to beat JD Vance?
And that was after she had a viral moment too.
She's this is the problem of banking on your identity and thinking that's enough. That's basically it. She's banking on just her identity and saying, oh, well, I'm a black woman. And she's not even having to say it. She's having other people say it. And then she'll bring up some of the policies that they did that were half of quarter measures, which didn't do diddly squat for a majority of us. And then even if it did something for a lot of us, it was only temporary. And it's like I said, what good is progress if it ain't permanent? Because everybody in their mom was talking about, oh my goodness, we cut child poverty in half. But for how long?
Mm-hmm.
They talk like it's permanent when it was only a few months.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
And listen, for those of us that like Jaybe and I, we do mutual aid. I can be one to tell you, a lot of the people that I know we've helped here in the Boston area, they remember that. Yes. They remembered when that child poverty, you know, the child tax credit, they remember when that went away.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's extra money that people will use towards rent, towards utilities. Like, for instance, utilities are skyrocketing.
Yep.
Right? just in the Central Florida area alone, within the Orlando area, homelessness went up 156% in 3 years. And so you can talk about, oh, well, we cut child poverty in half all you want. But that's like me being a father, and I give my kids this bountiful meal today, and then tomorrow they're like, Dad, we're hungry. I go, I fed you yesterday. Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you thought your job was done for one day.
I'm telling you, those people stayed home when it came time for election day. Those people stayed home. This is why that's the thing. You know, let me continue on, and then I'll tell you something else.
Mm-hmm. But I think that, you know, one of the reasons I wrote this book, Rachel, is there are actually a number of reasons. One is that it is unprecedented, right? To your point of what you said in your opening, we had a president of the United States running for re-election, 3.5 months from the election, decides not to run. The sitting vice president enters the race against a former president of the United States who's been running for 10 years with 107 days to go. And it ended up being the closest presidential election in the 21st century. And there was so much about those 107 days that, for me, and this is really a behind the scenes look at those 107 days, was about seeing people who seemingly had nothing in common coming together by the thousands with a level of optimism and, dare I say, joy about the possibilities for America. And I hope to remind people about that light that people brought to it, and to remind people that that light is still there.
I don't think it is.
No.
Do you think that light is still there, JB?
I mean, no, it's a black hole. It's a void. It's a vortex. That's exactly what it is. Like, no, because the thing is like, the only light that she saw was something that was fake, that she only saw being surrounded around by sycophants, like certain people that shall remain unnamed, thinking they're the realist. But the problem is that she is under this guise that she was that hope and change. This is her sniffing her own farts, people, because she's thinking, oh, I'm going to be the hope and change. I'm going to be a light that lights up the United States and makes things better. Ma'am, you couldn't even light up California. What are you talking about?
I think Kamala didn't seem to understand also that may have worked in 2020 when Biden was running and he said he's running on the soul of America. Remember that? That may have worked then, but also what people forget was happening at that time was the pandemic. So economically, again, it goes back to economics. Economically, like, people were struggling. Small businesses were struggling. Those of us that lived in states that were locked down, like listen, a lot of people lost businesses. People got evicted. So it wasn't so much that Biden was like, I'm running on the soul of the country. It was that combined with the economic despair people were in because of the pandemic. So of course, people going to flip back, well, okay, we're going to switch all the way back over to the other side, right? So there's that. So her going with, that light and that joy, people were already past that, because a lot of people voted for her and Biden because they thought that economically things were going to be much better than it was, under Trump, especially during the pandemic. But then it come to find out that wasn't the case. So at that point, you can't run on joy and light.
Look, I'm sick and tired of these Democrats constantly speaking about the abstract and the academic when it comes to making the country better, restoring the soul of America, bringing light, bringing joy. No, bring paychecks up. Bring rent down. Right? Let's make it so that people can actually get to college and be able to afford college or trade school, or even if they don't want to go to college, they shouldn't have to live in poverty just because they're working. Like, let's talk about that. Let's just do substantive things. If you ran on substantive, concrete, material things, you would win. And here's the crazy part. All Donald Trump had to do was lie that he was, and he won.
Yep.
Basically, they just said, just lie to us. Just make us feel good for a little bit. Just lie. And he did. And now look. Now he continues to lie to them, but they're still sycophants for him, even though he ain't doing nothing for them, materially anyway. But he lied better. That's all basically it was. And so all this talk about, oh, we're the light and we're joy and the soul of America. I'm just like, give me a damn break. Light is not going to pay my light bill.
No,
light is not going to help me lower my student loan debt. Light is not going to lower my rent. Light is not going to make eggs go down lower. The price of eggs go lower. The only light thing about Kamala Harris is her skin. That's it. Like, what in the world is she talking about?
I'll continue on.
And we can't let that be extinguished by an election or the individual who's in the office right now. Because to the point of all those folks who got out and protest about the Kimmel suspension.
And about everything else that people have protested.
Right. In the variety of ways, whether it be going to a protest or being, with their pocketbook or getting engaged in local and state and federal elections, they'll make a difference. And they've made a difference. And I guess the last point is that we've got to really remember that this person who's in the White House promised a whole lot of people who supported him and voted for him that he would do one thing, which is bring down costs and prices. And he lied to them. And we need to remember that as we move forward with the next series of elections, and midterms are around the corner, that it's not just about him by himself. There were others around him who perpetuated that same promise and have not followed through. They're about to go into negotiations around the continuing resolution, the budget. And I know that leaders Schumer and Jeffries are going to meet with the president, I think in the Oval Office. And good for them to go there and ask Donald Trump, the president of the United States, to justify why he is proposing to cut Medicaid, why he is willing to shut down the government for the sake of putting on the backs of working people the tax cut he gave to the richest people in America.
So that's one part from the interview. Whoops, what happened there? Oh, here we go. That's one part from the interview with Rachel Maddow, right? Like, notice she gets really tough when she's calling out Donald Trump, but she's not one to call out the issues with the Democratic Party. And I think a lot of us know that. Like I said, the Clintons selected her early on. That's how she ends up running for Senate. They had already put their claws in her. Oh, and by the way, Donald Trump also donated to Kamala Harris. A lot of people don't know about this, but when she was running as attorney, remember she was running as AG in California, Donald Trump donated to her then. I keep telling you guys, it's one big club. A lot of these people that politically, they may disagree politically, but there's a lot of theater that goes on. Whereas, they have a show that they put on for us. They always, of course, are going to have the disagreements politically. But at the end of the day, they're all in the same class, same social circle. They're all in the same club. A lot of what we see is theater. I was talking to someone about this not too long ago where they said that a friend of theirs used to work on Capitol Hill as a staffer, and they were saying that a lot of these people in front of the camera are against each other, but when the cameras go away, a lot of these people are friends in real life, that they all roll with each other. They can all go to the same country club. They all have gold-plated healthcare. It's really a class issue when you look at it. I mean, if you're a congressional member, you're looking at a starting salary of over $160,000 a year, plus other benefits. So I know people that have worked. Hell, I never made, even when I was academic advisor, I never made $160,000 a year.
No.
And I had over 10 years experience. Like the average American is not making over $160,000 a year. Absolutely. And then don't forget, they have a residence in DC and they have a place in their hometown. Some of these senators have multiple homes. So it really is a big club, folks.
Yep. I want to share something as well, because there's two things I want to talk about in response to Kamala Harris talking about free speech. You mentioned what happened to Jimmy Kimmel, right? And how people, came out and protested about it. I want to share something with you, because here's the thing. Kamala Harris really needs to take a look and reflect, because she is also part of an administration that also was anti-free speech. Here's Sam Husseini.
The names of those who have been arbitrarily detained and unfairly held hostage, unjustly held hostage, and bringing them home, returning them to their families, returning them to their loved ones. Finally,
get your hands off me. 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 Answer a damn question. Do you know about the Hannibal Directive? Do you know about Israel's nuclear weapons? Everybody from the ICJ. I was sitting here quietly, and now I'm being manhandled by 2 or 3 people. You pontificate about a free press. You pontificate about a free press. You are hurting me. You are hurting me. You are hurting me. I'm asking questions after being told by Matt Miller that he will not answer my questions, and so I asked him questions. Wasn't the point of the May 31st statement to block the ICJ orders? You blocked the ICJ orders.
Please, sir, respect the process.
Oh, respect the process. Respect the process. Well, everybody from Amnesty International. From Amnesty International to the ICJ saying that Israel's doing genocide and extermination. You're telling me to respect the process. Criminal, why aren't you in the Hague? Why aren't you in the Hague? Why aren't you in the Hague?
That's the Biden administration.
How quickly people forget.
How quickly people forget. And people talk about, oh my God, Jimmy Kimmel. This was a journalist, an investigative journalist that was targeted by the Biden administration for their speaking out against what the Biden administration was doing in funding a literal genocide in Gaza. And so it goes without saying that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Liberals go back to sleep when Democrats are in power.
They do. And I also wanted to bring this up as well, because a lot of people don't talk about this. Now, can we talk about, I want to share this, and this is what I talked about. And I think this is also important, because we're talking about censorship from not just the Trump administration, but the Biden administration. I want to know where everybody was for this. Share it with you guys. It says the Biden administration fails to win imprisonment of the Yahudu 3. Members of the Yahudu movement, Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville, Yahudu 3, were sentenced to 3 years probation. I'm sorry, my correction, 3 years probation and community service after being convicted in September 2024 of supposedly conspiring with the Russian government to interfere in U.S. elections. The Black Alliance for Peace recognizes that this sentence is confirmation that the charges against the Hutu members by the Biden administration Department of Justice were baseless, while any sentence handed down from imperialist courts for actions that are supposed to be legally protected are in themselves illegitimate. The refusal of the judge to incarcerate the Hutu Three is a victory in the fight against the repressive U.S. regime, regardless of which wing of the finance capital bird leads it. So here's the thing. While I am celebrating, I am still frustrated because they're still, in a sense, being punished for something that they didn't do. Even though it is community service and just probation, it's like probation for what? Like, what did they actually do? They didn't actually do anything, and yet you're putting them on probation. You're forcing them to do community service, which they do by default. Like, they are literally a community service organization. But you're still punishing them for essentially just talking shit about the U.S. government. By the way, I definitely do look better since my transplant surgery. But anyways, but yeah, basically they were speaking out against the U.S. government, and the Biden administration went against them just because they critique the U.S. government. And so Jimmy Kimmel criticizing Trump, which Trump is a part of the U.S. government, and he goes after Kimmel and gets him basically suspended, right, through the FCC and making a threat. But Joe Biden, for the Hutu Three, part of the African People's Socialist Party, they were also criticizing the U.S. government, and they got tagged with being Russian agents. And they literally got indicted. They literally had a pre-dawn FBI raid with guns drawn on them in the morning. And who was out there protesting about that? Jimmy Kimmel got suspended. These guys got guns pointing in their faces, and they were black mostly. And so when we're going to talk about free speech, okay, fine. But at the same time, hold the Biden administration accountable for what they did. And Kamala Harris should have also condemned that. But did she? No. And she's a lawyer.
That was one of the big stories at that point in time that just did not get as much coverage as it should have received. And the statement that just came out also from Google, Jaybe, I know you and I talked about this. Google is now even admitting that they were censoring people, Google and YouTube, admitting that they were censoring people under the direction of the Biden administration.
Which also includes YouTube.
Right. Now, they say that the people that were deplatformed, I'm assuming this also means demonetization, I'm not sure, but the people that were kicked off YouTube because they had these conversations about like pandemic and all that kind of stuff, the political stuff, they said that those people will be allowed back on. Now, I ain't seen no movement yet, but the point is, you can't go back to sleep when it's your party that's in power. If you're going to criticize free speech under the Biden administration, you damn well sure should criticize it under the Trump administration. But you can't do this whole, and that's what a lot of people do. That's why, like, when Biden was in office, a lot of liberals were like, shh, be quiet. Shh, shh, don't say nothing.
Yep.
And you'll see, I mean, it's a little bit different this time around with Trump than it was in 2016. Because now there seems to be the split with MAGA as well. But then a lot of the Trump supporters, the same thing. Shh, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. At least it's him and not the Democrats. Meanwhile, neither party is actually doing anything for the working class. They just got you pitted against each other for red-blue game.
Yeah. Now, I know you said you haven't heard anything as of yet, but I saw this earlier today. It says YouTube terminates new channels of Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes hours after creation. It says
Well,
YouTube shut
damn.
down. I'm sorry?
I said, well, damn.
Yeah. YouTube shut down newly created channels belonging to Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes on September 25th, 2025, within hours of their launch, enforcing its policy against previously banned users attempting to evade restrictions through alternative accounts. The action followed YouTube's recent announcement of a limited pilot program to reinstate some creators banned for the pandemic and election misinformation, but the program is not yet open and excludes cases involving hate speech or harassment, categories under which both individuals were originally removed. Conservative commentators labeled the bans hypocritical, given the platform's stated commitment of free expression, while anti-extremism groups endorsed the decision based on the creators' histories of harmful content. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So if they were removed because of hate speech, then obviously they're not letting them back on.
Yeah. But my question though is, like, for instance, my personal channel is been demonetized, right? Because I showed Palestinian resistance during the Operation Al-Aqsa flood that happened on October 7th of 2023. I actually showed footage from them that did that. And then a couple days later, YouTube decided to give me a warning. And in doing so, I'm thinking the warning is just going to be temporary. In doing so, they also demonetized me during that warning. I thought that my monetization would come back. They said that they said I violated by spreading terrorist propaganda when I was just reporting on the news and what was going on there. And so apparently
it's the war coverage. Yeah, you can't show war. You can't show
Yeah. So my thing is like, okay, so that should have been, but it was classified as a warning. It wasn't classified as a strike. It was never classified as a strike. So therefore, I have went well beyond the 90 days. And so therefore, should my monetization be brought back? I think so. And on top of it, the footage wasn't of any particular attacks. It was just paragliders launching. It wasn't showing anything like places being bombed or anything like that. So
yeah, you can't even show that. You can't show a drone. You can't show an airstrike. None of that stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
They're very strict with the war coverage. I think Al Jazeera and I forget the other one. It might be one. I think Al Jazeera, I know, gets a pass because they're considered corporate, they're funded by, they're part of Qatar. So they're considered that the corporate press, of course, like all the corporate media gets a pass. But the rest of us, we can't show any war stuff. Yeah.
And that's the crazy part. It's like, okay, so corporate media gets a pass, but we don't. Even though corporate media does lie, or they do have a war, violent slant, it's ridiculous. But at the same time, unfortunately, when it comes to long form videos, YouTube really has a monopoly. So that's one of the biggest issues. But the thing is, like, going back to what we're talking about in regards to Kamala Harris, is that she could talk about free speech all she wants, but she was still part of the administration that also violated the free speech of different groups, especially for their political speech. And so she can't talk. She has no room to say a word about this because she was also part of that same administration that stifled free speech as well. And in the stifling of free speech, the people who were affected the hardest were the people who are actually against both parties.
And it wasn't just, that's another thing too. It's not just the pandemic, like people talking about like the jab and stuff like that. It wasn't just that. There were other things too, like Jaybe was pointing out, like what happened after October 7th. Don't forget that was still that was under the Biden administration. So there was a lot of things that were happening. It's one of those things is like, you'd have to be in the space to like see it yourself, right? Like, social media accounts as well. People were losing Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts, like left and right, So that's just something to keep in mind, that both administrations have applied some type of censorship.
Yeah. Whether it's Twitter files, the YouTube files, the Facebook files. Yeah. You might as well have the Rockford files. But so yeah, you know, like I said, I mean, I'm gonna ask you this. I want you to give me your full-throated, honest answer, and I know you stand 10 toes down, Sab, because you always do. Is Kamala Harris delusional? And was her were people in the Democratic Party right to be upset and angry with her?
I don't think she's delusional. I think that Kamala Harris, I think the type of people that Kamala Harris is around are not people like me and you.
Yeah.
Like these people run in circles that we are not a part of. Like we're just not they're very different, right? So they run in circles that we're not a part of. They're not around, you know, everyday working class people. The closest they would probably get to that is like, let's say, I don't know, going through the drive-through at like McDonald's or something, or going to Starbucks to get like a latte or something like that. That's probably the closest they have to interaction with people, everyday people like that. But they're not in their circles. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's just not there. I think that she refuses to take accountability, but I think that comes from the ego. I really do. I think that, but again, when you're in those circles of like the bougie black boule, you know, we've talked about this, when you're in those circles and she is, they are going to do everything they can to make you feel like you're doing everything right. They're not going to say, well, you know, you probably could have did, you know what I mean? So who she is surrounded by is not going to tell her what we're saying, because these people just live in a different world. They don't interact with the people who actually went to the ballot box to vote unless they're in their social circle. They're in that elite, you know, maybe not elite, but they're in that bougie, you know, upper class, like bubble. Like they're hanging out with multimillionaires and some billionaires. Let's just keep it real. So we're not in those spaces. Like it's just little things like, okay, say you go to a baseball game or a basketball game. All right. Me and Jaybe got to wait in line. That's just how it is. Most people do. Kamala don't. She not on the ground she not even in the same ground. Think about it this way, guys. Like, no, she's not a celebrity, but being a politician with that type of attention and platform is the closest thing that you can get to probably being a celebrity without, you know, being in movies and all that type of stuff. And I've said this before. I really do think some of these people that went into politics actually were people that were interested in going into entertainment. Mm-hmm. I really do feel that way. And that shit didn't pan out. Just like Brian Tyler Cohen. He was an actor. It's like, so that didn't pan out. So they end up in politics, you know, like, I guess the next best thing to them as they feel. But there's just things that we do that she would never have to do. Like she would never have to, like I said, something simple as just going to the baseball game. She would not have to wait in line. I'm trying to think of the concert. You think she would be in line with us? No.
She got backstage passes.
Thank you. Exactly. So they're not around people like us. That's part of the problem.
Kendrick said they're not like us.
Yeah, it just and then that's someone who's very humble, right? Like Kendrick is a celebrity, but pretty humble. Like doesn't doesn't go out and flaunt and flash his money, is not into that at all. Like, just a chill person. You'll never hear about Kendrick Lamar like getting, wasted at no party or nothing. I don't even think he drinks. It's just so it just there are people who kind of stay attached to the community and are still around. And then there are those who are not. Like they got to their position that they wanted, and this is what she wanted. And then all that came before is just left behind. So this is why when she talks about, oh, I grew up in Oakland, which it wasn't really Oakland, it was Berkeley. Those are two different places. It really does matter. It does make a difference. Just like there's a difference between Cambridge and Boston. It really does make a difference. Berkeley tends to be a little bit more affluent, more white than how Oakland was back in the day. Oakland, there was more Black people in Oakland, right? So the whole thing of, when I was in Oakland and we were growing up there, then, and then they moved to Canada and she went to school in Montreal with a pretty well, prestigious school. Like, so, and that's not on her that, parents moved and divorced and all that kind of stuff, but it's what they tried to represent. It's what they tried to represent in particular to the Black community as who she really was, instead of just telling the damn truth. Instead of just telling the truth, they tried to make it seem like she was like kicking it with the homies. And when she went on the Breakfast Club and said, I listened to some Tupac back in the day and I used to do a little smoky smoke or whatever. It's just, I think they try to create a character. Yeah.
I think, wasn't it, then you had that conversation with, was it you that was talking to Amanda Seales or was it Nico House? Amanda Seales basically was saying that these are the people who failed at being actors, so they chose to be politicians.
That she might have said that to me. I think so.
But
it's true. Like it just Gavin Newsom, come on. Randy Fine. Yeah.
And then your example about Berkeley versus Oakland. That reminds me of, somebody being from Winter Park and they're like, oh no, I'm from Orlando. It's like, yeah, but you were in Winter Park. Winter Park is affluent, white, affluent, they got a Trader Joe's over there. they got a Whole Foods over there. They ain't got nothing over here. Or that's like saying, I'm from Orlando, but you're actually from Dr. Phillips. Like, come on now.
Yeah, it's just look, this was a failed project and it worked with Obama, but people have woken up since. I know Black voters in particular have woken up since Obama. That's why Kamala didn't get as much support from Black voters. So people point their fingers at us, the voting base. You should be pointing your fingers at Barack Obama.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. So thanks for answering that question, Sabs. And before we finish this segment, I just want to take a look at the poll. If you guys have not, take the poll right now. I'm about to read it. So, do you think Kamala Harris hurt the Democratic Party? 28% said yes, she hurt the Dems. 4% said no, she didn't hurt the Dems. 5% said no, but she hurt herself. 63% said Dems hurt themselves choosing her.
Ooh, yikes.
Ouch.
That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's not good. That's not good for Kamala.
Out of 246 votes. Oh, whew. That's spice. That's a spicy meatball. Okay. All right, guys. So thank you very much. Let's, if you guys have not already, go ahead and like the stream. We appreciate it very much. We're going to get into the chats and then we'll, thank the patrons on the way out. So thank you very much. We're going to be limited to just super chats because for the sake of time. But let's get into this. We have Miriam says, a long time ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, I sent you a very important email in which you never replied to. I'm assuming I used the wrong email. Can you please tell me the correct email to send you the very important video? Was that directed at RBN, or was that directed towards me or Sabby? Because our emails are on our personal channels. Our emails are also in the descriptions. So if you would like to get in contact with us directly for our channels, then you would email us directly, and my email's under my videos. If that is for RBN, then it's Revolutionary Blackout at outlook.com. If you would like to submit that through there as well. Thank you says, in the first super chat, I sent is a typo. I said sent you an email 4 to 5 years ago. I meant 4 to 5 months ago. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Thank you very much to Roger Meadows. He says, Sabby, please do the Sabby desk dance again. What? Oh my gosh. I have no idea what he's talking about, but I'm moving on. Roger says, all YouTubers, time for class action. I don't
think a lot of people would be opposed to that, to be honest, especially since they admitted it. Yeah.
And I want to answer this one really quick. Mr. says, are you around homeless people? I do mutual aid at least once a month, every single month, and I volunteer for it. So yes, as far as being around homeless people, I am around unhoused people. So so we make sure to do mutual aid as well on this channel as often as possible. All right, so Sabs, you got a channel tonight. Not a channel tonight. Sorry, you got a show tonight. What is it about? Who you got coming on?
No guest tonight, but I am doing, I have 6 news stories to cover tonight, but one of them is, which I promised people I would do, we're doing a deep dive case study into why Democrats failed. So it gives me a chance to break down some things a little bit more thoroughly. So that's it for me. And no show this Sunday because I have plans this weekend. So.
All right. And yes, to Miriam, yeah. Sabby, your emails under all your videos, right? On your channel?
Yes. And chances are it's probably buried somewhere in the emails, to be honest with you. Like I have a lot of emails, so I'm terrible with that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Probably best to send it again, Miriam.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, guys, thank you so very much for tuning in to this great stream. It was a great conversation, Sabs. I'm glad I got something. I got to, get that out. So get that off my chest. So thank you so very. Oh wait, Roger says Rockfin. All right. Let me make sure to get this. I don't know what's going on with Rockfin. It's spinning. It's not even
it does that sometimes.
Yeah, Rockfin is acting weird, Roger. I don't know. It's like it keeps buffering, and I'm not sure exactly what to do. I don't know. I might have to stop using Rockfin. I don't know, but I can't see anything. I'm sorry. But yeah, so we're gonna head out. My apologies. But guys, take care. Water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Sabs, what will we do?
Smoke them if you got them.
That's right. And that also includes pork, turkey, chicken. Smoke them if you got them. But watch the carbs and watch your macros, everybody. And thank you so very much to the patrons on Patreon, because without you guys, we would not be able to do this. But we will see you guys in the next one. Have yourself a great night. Bye.